Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Better.
So I went to see the new Super Mario Bros. Movie yesterday, and it was good. I've seen some written reviews which seem to be really ripping this film a new one, and yeah, there's definitely some issues the film has. It's no Puss in Boots The Last Wish levels of greatness, but at the same time, there's a lot of praise to be said too. It was directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, who have both worked on Teen Titans Go, which I know might send alarm bells off to some people, but they did also direct Teen Titans Go to the movie, which to be fair, wasn't a complete shit stain of a film. The film was produced by Universal, Nintendo, and Illumination, which, fun story, when the Illumination logo came on in the cinema, there was a little skit of a minion trying to get a go-kart to start, and the moment that minion came on screen, there was a collective groan in the cinema. I have never felt such a sense of joy and faith in humanity, knowing that everyone is just so collectively sick of these little yellow piss tablets. Growing up in the 90s, I never really played much of the 2D Mario games. I grew up with the Sega Mega Drive, so was brought up on the Sonic games. But my friend did have a Nintendo 64, and so I played a lot of 3D Mario games, such as Mario Kart, Mario Party, and of course, Super Mario 64. Man, I used to get such absolute thrills yeeting that stupid baby penguin off the cliff edge, while all his mother could do was just stand there and watch. I want to tell someone, but they wouldn't believe me. And once getting a GameCube, I'd play other Mario games such as Luigi's Mansion and Super Mario Sunshine, so I do have a fair number of familiarities with the franchise. And man, is this film bursting with references. I love how they really embrace the Mario video games in this. There are so many nods and winks to the Mario franchise in this film, from characters to dialogue and background details. There's even a reference to Jumpman in the background, which for those of you that don't know, that was Mario's original name when he first appeared in the 1981 Donkey Kong game. I really like how this film just rolls with the absurdity of the games, with how the worlds are designed and the objects within them. Like normally with video game adaptations, even with the first Sonic movie, they try to dial down the video game aspect in favour of making it fit more in the real world. Almost like they're ashamed of the franchise they're making a movie on. Whereas here, they're like, oh yeah, that's a power-up box, it's gonna turn you into a cat or a raccoon. Yeah, these blocks are just floating in mid-air. Yeah, we're driving on rainbows, don't question it. You compare this to the 1993 Mario Bros. Movie, which took a somewhat different approach to the video games, which, fun fact, the 1993 Mario Bros. Movie was actually the last time Nintendo had made a film out of one of their franchises. Which, you know, I guess because that film was just such a cinematic masterpiece, that Nintendo felt that they had peaked, and that there was no need to even attempt to supersede such a holy grail of perfection. Back to this film, the animation is looking fantastic. The Super Mario world is brightly coloured, and just looks so visually gorgeous. The particle effects in particular are really top notch. The opening scene with Bowser's ship destroying the ice sculptures looks great. Hair and fur is highly detailed. But weirdly enough, I think my favourite effect is the water. The water just looks so lush and realistic in this. It reminds me of that opening scene from Toy Story 4. The voice acting is really good all round. Jack Black absolutely kills it with Bowser, easily the highlight of the film. Chris Pratt is surprisingly not terrible as Mario. Yeah, I know. I saw the trailer and like everyone else, thought what the fuck. And I know I memed him at the start of this video, but honestly, it didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Partly because right at the start of the film, we see the Mario brothers doing a commercial for their plumbing service, and in that they are doing the stereotypical Italian accents. But it's more for the advertising gimmick of their company, rather than their actual voices. And they even joke afterwards being like, do you think the accents were a little bit too much? And thinking about it, yeah, I kind of think that was the right call, as Mario doesn't typically talk very much in the video games, so having that comically exaggerated accent may not have worked for the entirety of the film. The music is also really nice, for the most part. There are multiple moments where you get the classic Mario soundtrack intertwined with the standard orchestral score. It's not overdone to the point that it tries too hard, it's just enough that you're like, huh, that's the underground cave theme from the first game. Nice. But then there are also moments where a seemingly random 80s song is just slapped onto a scene. It really feels out of place, comes across as forced, and honestly, I wish they had just stuck with the classic orchestra. Which is now going to lead me into the part of the film that I didn't quite like as much. The humour I'd say is a bit hit and miss. If I were to give it a rough number, I'd say the amount of jokes that landed for me was about 60-40. There's some really great visual gags throughout, and they have this running joke with Bowser being overly romantic over Princess Peach, which is actually hilarious. But then there were also a bunch of jokes which didn't quite land for me. Now don't get me wrong, they weren't terrible, we're not talking Sonic flossing or farting chili dogs level of bad, but they just didn't get much of a reaction out of me. Then again, the kids in the cinema seem to be getting a wallop out of them, so what do I know? In terms of overall plot, there isn't very much. Bowser is coming to destroy the Mushroom Kingdom and marry Peach, Luigi needs to be rescued, so Mario and Peach team up to take Bowser down. That's about it. Now to be honest, I wasn't really expecting much of a plot to begin with, so I'm really not too disappointed by that aspect. And after the wacky take from the 1993 Mario Brothers movie, it's no surprise that the studios wanted to play it safe. But I do feel as though the film got a bit muddled with what story it was trying to tell. As for the opening 15 to 20 minutes, we're focused solely on Mario and Luigi, and the dynamic between the two brothers. Mario is clearly the more competent of them, with Luigi lagging behind and having a lot of confidence issues. So you think the movie is going to be about Luigi coming into his own, but then Luigi is separated from Mario and spends much of the time being Bowser's prisoner. Then just kind of reunites with Mario at the end, and the film treats him as if he's had an empowering character arc, where for the most part he's just been sat in a cage. Then we get the introduction of Peach, who has been given the Bo Peep treatment from Toy Story 4, and what I mean by that is that you have this typical damsel in distress type character who is now super independent and badass. This is fine in on itself, but the problem is that it messes up the character dynamics, as at the beginning with Mario and Luigi, Mario was shown to be the competent one. There's a side-scrolling scene where both of them are rushing to a plumbing job, Mario is navigating all the obstacles with ease, whilst Luigi is struggling behind. But then, when Mario is paired with Peach, there's a scene where they both have to complete an obstacle course, and now it's Mario who can barely get through it, whilst Peach passes through with ease. I really think the film would have benefited if Luigi had stayed with the rest of the characters, as he could have been the one to struggle whilst Mario and Peach excel onwards, giving him more opportunity to prove himself. And the film makes such a big deal setting up the relationship with these two at the start, it just feels so jarring to then have them separated for the rest of the film. This is just my speculation, but I do wonder if in an earlier draft, it was originally going to be Mario and Luigi teaming up to save Peach, but then later on they swapped to ARP in order to subvert expectations. I don't know. I think you could have done the film without anyone being captured, to be honest. I mean, Bowser's already on his way to destroy the Mushroom Kingdom. That's a good enough plot in on itself. Overall though, I did enjoy this film. I know it sounds like I'm hating on it, but that's not the case at all. It's still an overall good film. Just not amazing. I think the quality I saw in the trailers raised my expectations a little bit too much. It's kind of like the opposite of the first Sonic film. That trailer made me expect the film to be a god-awful bucket of diarrhea, but then it actually turned out to be okay, so it was a win. Whereas the Super Mario trailer made the movie look like it was going to be great, but instead it was just simply good, so therefore it felt like a loss. If you're a fan of the Super Mario franchise, you'll enjoy this film, and I think the kids are definitely going to enjoy it too. It's fun, colourful, and is packed to the brim with references. But if you're an adult and aren't too engaged in the Mario universe, then there probably isn't too much here for you. But do let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and until the next one, take care.